Welcome to the AWIP podcast. It's season 2, and I'm really excited. I guess if you guys noticed, we took a break last week because we had the AWIP conference, which was fantastic. So if you missed that, reach out to me or post something on the AWIP podcast LinkedIn channel, and maybe we can work with getting some videos out for that. But it's season 2, and I'm super excited because we are going international here with our next guest who's coming on. I'm going to bring on Marsha Dimopoulou. She is the head of the Special Secretariat for the Protection of Companion Animals in the Ministry of Interior in Greece and an animal rights lawyer and professor at Zero Stray Academy. So, Marsha, I thank you for coming on, and I'm super excited to talk to you. We were chatting a little while ago about there was this new revamp of the laws there in Greece, and I thought it was so interesting to hear, from different perspectives, not just from people in the States, but from other countries, because I read these laws. I sat down one day and I was just like dumbfounded, like how great the new revisions were. So thank you again for coming on. And Marsha, before we get into it, I was wondering if maybe you can talk a little bit about your background and what led you to be to where you are today.
Okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy, very excited, and very honored about your invitation. We have a lot of things to discuss. Yes, this is true concerning the animal welfare law in Greece and what we are trying to do here, the Greek government is trying to do. You will allow me a small correction. I am the former special secretary. Now I am a legal counselor at the special secretariat, um, and support this whole effort still again of the Greek government to change things in our country. I started as an animal advocate, as a freshman student in law school. I started to help neglected and abandoned animals, helping them from the streets, finding them family, giving them treatments. Sorry, and when I got my degree and I was a lawyer, I started to specializing in animal welfare law many years ago. To be honest, in 2003, when in Greece people didn't know what animal welfare law is. We have a strong volunteer background here in Greece, but concerning the animal welfare law, there is no background. So slowly, I was starting to work as a lawyer, specializing in animal welfare law, and on the same time, I was working as a counselor with the municipalities on the effective management of stray dog and cat population, because in Greece municipalities are responsible for this. So a few things about my background. It's many years ago, almost 30 years
You've
ago.
been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
um, so I'm wondering, Marsha, what was animal welfare like before the adoption of this legal framework? I think, right, it went into effect in 2021. What did things look like? What was the state of animal welfare prior to that?
Yes. I have to be honest, the animal welfare law goes many years ago. It's not the first animal welfare law in Greece. So the Greek government, through the years, was trying hard to make a change on this. Um, More laws in the past that were working on how to have an effective management and change the situation in our country. The last animal welfare law that was established in 2021 brought a new legal framework on animal welfare, a very strong one that changed how things work in Greece concerning the law.
So what drove you to, and your colleagues and the public? What was all the interest in revamping these laws?
The problem in Greece is big. Um, we don't have governmental statistics concerning the numbers of the stray dog and cat population in Greece. But we think there are more than 2 million stray dog and cat population.
Wow.
And yes, and we needed a stronger legal framework trying to change the whole situation. A lot of abuse, unfortunately. Um, Now we focus on systematic stray prevention and effective management of stray dog and cat population with the new law. Eliminate the illegal breeding so that we can reduce numbers of stray dogs and cats to an acceptable level. We are trying to promote responsible ownership to change the behavior towards to the pets from the pet owners, and we work hard to improve also the health and the welfare of all pets and make sure that no pet will end up homeless. All this through the new animal welfare law, that it's a very strong tool that will support us to manage to do all this.
Well, I was mentioned that I was reading through the laws a few days ago, and there's a definition for well-being that I found very interesting, and I'm gonna read it briefly for who's watching this. Um, is that well-being is defined the good physical and psychological state of the animal in relation to the conditions in which it lives and dies. And an animal that's living in a state of well being has um, secured comfortable, safe, healthy, and appropriate accommodation, adjusted to its natural way of living. It doesn't suffer from pain, fear, and anxiety. It's able to express normal behaviors. Um, and I mean, it has the five freedoms written in there for well-being, and this is, recognized across the globe, of what good practice of well-being is. And I find this so interesting because, I'm going to relate. I'm probably going to relate a lot of stuff back to the U.S. here and the way our laws are written and such, just because, that's where I'm from. And I found this so interesting, Marsha, because the Greek law really spells out what an animal is, first of all, and what well-being really is. And I found that both life and death piece very, very interesting, because I think the death piece being that when they're at their end of life, that they're still being treated with respect, and they're free of pain and suffering, and that I just don't see that very often in laws. Is how animals um, uh, should be living all through all stages of their life. And so, like, I'm wondering from you, like, in this piece, why was that important to the success of improved animal welfare there? Why put the five freedoms in there?
Because we strongly believe that animals' well-being is a priority. And the five domains of animal welfare and well-being, the nutrition, the environment, the health, the behavior interactions, and the mental state, are very, very important all of them, each one of them and all of them, so we can say that an animal is we treat an animal with respect and living in a great condition, not just good condition, a very good condition, a great condition, and have all the health care that is needed, together with the house, to have a great house, to be in contact with other animals, to be protected from the pain, the suffering, the injury, the disease. All of this together are helping us to make a safer and better future for the animals in Greece. And as I said before, their well-being to be a priority for us.
Well, we know that funding is always everything boils down to funding, right? And that is necessary for the future success of any agency, any program. And, correct me if I'm wrong here. So I read something that was after the laws were passed in 2021, in March of 22, the government released a bunch of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars, to authorities for spay neuter and for equipment, microchip scanners, all different kinds of equipment, and a whole bunch of money for the construction and the repair and maintenance of shelters around the country. Um, did any of you or your colleagues face any kind of opposition when you were working on increasing funding? And because it was a significant amount of money, it's a pretty high price tag, I would say. um, was there any opposition about this, or how did these conversations happen?
Let me first tell you that before 2020, the 332 municipalities of Greece, between the 332 municipalities of Greece were divided only 600,000 euro, a very few, a very little money, so they can manage to control the stray dog and cat in Greece. So after this year, yes, the funding is big, very big. A lot of money goes to the municipalities so we can help them and support them in order to manage to do their work and have good results. The number of the stray dogs and cats in Greece, as I said, is very big. It's more than 2 millions in the streets of Greece. So they need funding to do TNR programs, to do programs for prevention, to do tipping, especially to Shepherd dogs, because as we see after some results from the research that the Aristoteles University in Thessaloniki here in Greece did, is that the 45% of the abandoned animals are shepherd dogs, 35% are hunting dogs, and the rest of them are some, feral dogs and any other kind of smaller. So yes, the funding it's needed. It's needed. We need the funding. The municipalities need the funding, so they can do the TNR programs more and more, and they accept this happily, because one of the problem that they face, and I think it's something that they face in all over the world, is the lack of money for this kind of programs. So this changed since 2021 with the new law, and the funding is more for vaccination, for TNR programs. so that we can manage to control the number of the stray pets.
I mean, that's crazy. Thinking at the long ago, you said 600,000 euros for the whole country. I mean,
Yes,
that's mind-boggling to me. Um, but it's good news, though, right? Because
yes,
I can imagine all the conversations that you've had with, everyone who's in on making those decisions about these price tags and how much to spend for all these different programs is people are understanding. People want to see some change. I mean, even those who are in government are understanding this is a huge problem, and they're taking it seriously, it looks like.
yes. I have to be honest that we didn't hear complaints from the citizens of the country that we give a lot of money to the stray dogs, because everyone realized that we have a big problem, and we have to work hard on this, and fundraising TNR programs especially, and chipping programs, and DNA programs, because is something we can talk later about the TNA, the first DNA lab that was funded in Greece. It's something that we need in order to make a difference, to change the situation in our country.
Yeah, well, I did want to get into that. So the framework established this national oversight body, which
Yes,
I find fascinating because we don't have that here in the U.S. At all. Things are broken up by state and country or city municipalities. It's kind of like a free for all. Um, but you created this national oversight body, for all of the shelters, all animals, and part of it, was this national animal register.
yes,
What talk to me? What is that? What all is included in the register?
yes. The National Registry, of course, it's not the first national registry that we have, but it's the most detailed registry that Greece ever had. And after following for 6 months personally, the in Brussels, the work for, I was part of the work for the new animal welfare European regulation. Please allow me to say that it's the most detailed national registry that Europe has, a country in Europe has. It's only not only about chipping, but it's also registering, which is mandatory for all pets owned or strays in our country. Something that we don't see in other countries, because many countries have mandatory chipping but not registering. So this national registry from now on, to be honest, from December 2023, includes that started to work, includes everything, includes all the medical files of all the pets, dogs and cats, owned or strays. So every vet has to use these medical files and input in the registry all the details, the medical details of its dog or cat. There is a shelter registry. All the shelters should be registered in this registry. There is a registry for the NGOs, all NGOs from Greece or from other countries that work with Greece. You can find in the National Registry the digital health book, because from now on we don't have the health book that we used to have from paper. We are allowed to use only the digital health book. That includes everything: exams, x-rays, surgeries, medication, treatments, vaccinations. There is also in the registry the blood donation, a registry for blood donation. All animals that can be donors of blood, they will be input in this registry. So as you see, it's very detailed, It's going to be a great tool to help us in our efforts to control the whole situation.
So is it primarily used for just tracking the health and well-being of animals? How many animals are out there? Is it for, if you're doing some kind of, animal cruelty investigation, you can access these files and see what kind of care or that lack thereof that the dog or cat received then?
In this registry, not everyone can have all the details that are in there. Of course, there are the vets, the municipalities, the Ministry of the Interior, the police, either public or municipality police, the vets at the borders, all the people that can see that can see what is needed in order to control the whole situation and to see if an animal has a chip or not. Of course, owners for sure can see the files of their dogs, but they cannot do changes in the registry. They can see the files, they can have the register, the digital health book, but owners cannot make changes in the system.
And it also includes, right, an offenders registry.
Yes, this is something that we are working. It's not ready yet, because this has to start from the prosecutors. The prosecutors have to create this registry, and then it can work together with the national registry and have all the details. So every abuser that is contempt um, needs to be in there. But this is something that we are still working on. It's not ready yet.
Okay. Well, Marsha, what's this DNA lab that you're talking about? Because that's new. I've never heard of that anywhere.
Yes, yes. The DNA lab is something new. It's something that causes huge contradictions here in our country. Different opinions. Vets disagree with this, but we think it's a great tool too. What the law says is that an animal over 18 months old, either has to be neutered, or if the vet or the owner do not proceed with neutering for medical reasons or because the owner doesn't want to, they have to do a DNA test. This DNA lab for animals was established in 2023 in December, at the same time almost with the National Registry. It's part of the Athens Academy, the most important and distinguished national research center in Greece. What the scientists do, the scientists are performing mainly blood analysis to find the ancestors of the puppies from both animals, mother and the puppy, and examine at the lab if there is a connection between them. But it's not only for the newborn puppies, it's also for all the animals. But concerning the newborn puppies, it's the thing is that the new law of 2021 has changed the abandonment of the newborn puppies to a felony. And this is something new. So if you abandon a newborn puppy, you can go to prison up to 10 years. And we already had the first arrest as a result of the DNA exam.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we have a
That
lot of
is that. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
yes, yes. The new
It
law
it
made the
it it's
abandonment of the
it's strict.
yes, it is. But we have so many puppies abandoned. Every day, hundreds of puppies are found in the streets of Greece. So when a newborn puppy or an animal abandoned, a young animal abandoned, is found with the vets, not everybody, the vets take blood and from the puppies and from the dog that they might think, or we have somebody says it's the mother of the puppy, and they send the blood to the DNA lab, to the research Athens Academy, and they perform analysis. And as I said, we had the first arrest according as a result of the DNA exam. A couple of puppies were found almost dead in a trash bin, and somebody saw the person who threw them in the trash bin, and the prosecutor asked from the vets to take blood from the dog of the person who threw the puppies, and the DNA came back positive, that there was a connection, that the dog is the mother of the puppies. So now
I mean,
you will
this is totally crazy to me, Marcia. I mean, this is totally blowing my mind here because it's so getting into the science of looking for people, who commit animal cruelty, and I mean, this is just crazy to me because this doesn't
yes.
exist anywhere else. Why I can't imagine, like, can you explain why are there veterinarians that are opposed to this? This seems like a great idea to me to track. I mean, for a whole bunch of reasons, right? You get to track how many animals there are, where they came from, who the owners are. This seems to me like a good idea that you're able to, you know, keep better track of the population. Your investigations are better. You have science that backs up those investigations. Um,
And great
so
sciences, I have to say, great sciences.
yeah,
Scientists, sorry, great scientists.
why are there some vets that don't like this?
Uh, to be sure, although I have heard them many times, I cannot truly understand. Um, they think that the result cannot be 100% right. You have to excuse me, but concerning the scientific details, I'm not very sure. I'm a lawyer. I'm not, I'm not but they think that the result cannot be 100% right. And this, according to their opinion, can cause to other problems like false accusations to owners. The scientists from the lab say that we are almost 100% sure about the results. It's so tiny, the proportion of not being right, that it's not a reason not to proceed with this way. Um,
Well, and
it's
it's also coupled with other evidence, like you said with
yes,
this last case. Somebody
eyewitnesses,
saw.
eyewitnesses, for example, because that's the way it worked with the case I told you in an area called Megara. The eyewitness saw the person who threw the puppies and took the police there, and the prosecutor asked the vet to take the DNA. So all this together gave us the result that we want, that his dog was the mother and he was the one who threw the puppies that unfortunately finally died. If you ask me personally, I think it's a great tool to help us um, minimize or the abandonment, or even to find the abusers, more abusers.
Right, that's because that's a big problem. I mean, not, it can be very, very difficult. Just speaking as an investigator myself, if you don't have video camera and you don't know who the person is, like who the owner is, because the person who reported it has no idea who they are, where they live. Um, and in a lot of cases, you just hit this wall, this
Yes,
investigative wall, and it's
yes,
like, well, this is a horrible
exactly.
thing, but we don't have any leads. And this is so intriguing to me, to give this other tool to investigators, to prosecutors. This is crazy. I love
Yes.
this.
And I have to be honest, at the case that I mentioned, if we didn't have the DNA to analyze and find out that the dog of this guy was the mother of the puppies, it would end it. Okay, he threw the puppies. To be honest, even if you throw the puppies without finding the mother, it's a felony. We said that before. But if there were no eyewitnesses and we were trying to search around and find some dogs that look like the puppies and took the DNA sample, this would lead us to the same result, to find
So
the owner.
it Marcia, you obviously, you and I both are advocates here for spay neuter and breeding restrictions. Um,
Exactly.
there are people who don't. There are people out there who say, this is too imposing. You can't tell me what to do with my animals. What? I
Exactly.
mean, there's even people within the animal welfare field, within the animal welfare community, who are opposed to mandatory spay neuter laws,
Yes.
we're very much in support of them. What I'm 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 sure you've probably gotten heard these things from other people there in Greece, right? What do you say to them about why you think that mandatory spay neuter and programs are necessary for improving animal welfare overall?
I have to say that spay neuter programs are not only for stray dogs. I think that we have to proceed also with owned animals, because stray dogs and cats do not fall from the skies or come from the sea. Stray dogs and cats come from owned animals. And I have to say that this is something that our vets concerning the DNA lab in the exam do not believe, that the stray animals come from owned animals. But this is something I truly believe. And we need to make more and more neuter and spay programs, not only to stray animals, but to owned animals. But apart from this, what we need to do is to promote responsible ownership. We have to promote responsible to change the mentality and the behavior of the pet owners. Um,
A hundred
we have,
percent.
yeah, we have to eliminate illegal breeding. And I forgot to say that in the National Registry, we have also a registry for the breeders.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yes, there is also
I
a
wanted
register that every breeder should be registered in this registry. Yes,
And they have the law made a bunch of new restrictions on breeders, right? Um,
yes,
how many times the animal can reproduce in its life? What are some
exactly.
of those things? What are some of
Yes,
those?
exactly. You cannot, for example, for the owned animals, even if you are not a breeder, if you are just an owner of a pet, you cannot reproduce your animal. You can do it only once in his life, and only after you take permission from a five-member committee that is in the municipality. So once in their life only, and after a written permission from the committee. Concerning the breeders, yes, exactly. As you said, there are some restrictions. You cannot reproduce them too young. You cannot reproduce them when they're too old. You cannot reproduce them too many times in a year. So this is another step in our efforts for effective management. And this is something that every owner and every breeder should think very carefully. Okay, I'm not so happy about the breeding in general when there are so many animals in the shelters, in the streets that are dying. And I have to be honest, in Greece we have too many pure breed animals in shelters and in the streets. For example, I personally had adopt from a shelter, from a charity, a pure breed animal. Oh, the reason I did it is because it was aggressive and we didn't know what the future will be of this animal. I have to be honest. She sent me twice in the hospital. But
Oh my.
yes, but we love her very much. There are too many animals in the streets of Greece, in the shelters. There are too many mixed breeds, pure breeds. They need a chance. And we have to stop breed illegally. We have to spay and neuter our animals, not only the strays, but also the owned. And if we do not want to, here in Greece, you can give a DNA sample that will be kept for 12 years in the DNA lab.
So, what happens if somebody has an oops litter? And I mean, that happens all the time. They're not purposefully trying to breed their dog, but it got out, it got loose, it got pregnant, and there they are a couple months later, dog's pregnant, and they didn't get permission. What happens to people like that?
They are fines, but I have to be honest, we have to be more strict concerning this kind of issue. In every village, I don't, in my country, unfortunately, people own pets that can go in and out of their yard by themselves, rep- being reproduced and have puppies. And unfortunately, we find many of them in the streets and next to the trashes. So we have to be more strict on implementing the new law.
Well, I love the part in the law about promoting responsible ownership. There's actually a quote. There is actually a quote inside the law that says that when, you adopt an animal, you have to give this disclosure that's written. An animal
Yes,
is not a
exactly.
toy. You must be aware that the purchase or adoption of an animal is a decision that changes your life. As an owner of the animal, you are legally obligated to ensure its well being and that the animal's needs are met. Otherwise, you are committing an offense punishable by the law. I mean, that's actually, they have to get that. That's crazy to me.
Yes.
I mean, it's great that.
Everybody has to understand this. Unfortunately, in all over the world, too many people do not understand this. It's not only in Greece, believe me. And as I said before, because I took part in the working group for the new European regulation concerning the welfare of dogs and cats, this is something that we see in all over the world, in Europe, in all the countries. Responsible ownership is the main key to prevent the homeless, if we can say, dogs and cats, and the abandonment of them. Yes, it's very important how we can achieve this. we have to inform the people more and more about the new laws. We're talking about Greece, so about the new law. Um, as a special secretary, we prepared five videos and for the TV spots for the TV concerning responsible ownership, adoption, DNA, neutering, and many and other things, so that people can see what's really going on. But we think that also municipalities that are responsible for the management of stray dog and cat population have to work hard on this to inform the citizens that live in their area with seminars, with maybe leaflets that can send to them, and also to educate and train the young children in schools. Here in Greece, and the special secretary, but also many charities have prepared and are approved from the Ministry of Education many programs concerning the animal welfare of all kinds of animals, so that students, young students and older students, can be educated and trained on the animal welfare and how we have to treat and respect every life that breathes.
I it's I think it's so fantastic. I mean, I was in I think the title of that is the promotion of the love to animals and protection of animals. And I think it was chapter M that I was looking at while I was reading through all of this. Yeah, you know, like you said, having it's mandated that children in kindergarten and primary and secondary schools have to have so many hours of training. The security forces have to have so many hours of training. The
Exactly.
public just being generally, informed about the new laws and new laws that will come about as even after this. I mean,
Yeah.
you all are taking a very different approach to animal welfare. I think you're a very, very good one, a very, very progressive one, where you're not just making everyone spay neuter their animals, which we already established I'm 100% for. Um,
Me too.
but it also starts with education, right?
Yes,
And it being able to talk to people, especially kids coming up to be the posterity who are going to be owners and such, teaching them like empathy and care for
exactly.
animals. I
And
mean, I find that so important. Not only that you do, it's like it's written in your law. Like here, there are like programs that certain, animal protection officers or shelters will go in and do, but it's not mandated. There, it's mandated.
uh, education and training is the key, one of the keys, if we can say. We know that concerning the students, the results will come after many years, but we need to educate all the young and older children. At the moment, there is a training concerning the animal welfare law of 2021 to all the police officers in Greece, and this is very important because they have to do a lot of work to change the mentality of how an animal should live, not change res- with respect, to have food, to have a clean environment, and all these that we've said at the beginning, but also the education of the children is, if you ask me, one of the most important things that we have to proceed. We already done it with various programs, and I have to tell you that to make things better in this from this way, we are working on. We have to persuade the Ministry of Education to allow all schools to foster stray animals in their buildings, in their yards, one or two that will be vaccinated, neutered, and that they will have all the care from the teachers and the children. The children want to be in contact with the animals, and we see this every day. Every day, more schools are in contact with special secretary, asking to make a change and allow the schools to foster animals. And this is that something new that we are trying to do now. If you ask me, I want every public place, school, anything, offices, to foster a stray animal, so that we can have less animal in the streets, not only with spay and neuter programs, which is the most important, and the adoption, but also with the fostering of abandoned animals, abandoned dogs and cats.
Well, that's a very interesting point too, because I mean there are numerous decades of studies that show that children who are brought up with an animal tend to be more, emotionally stable, healthier, less likely to develop medical problems just from being exposed to animals while growing. I mean, there's so many benefits. That's very interesting. And obviously it's good for the animals, but looking at it from the human aspect too, it's like if we're going to push for real progressive change, it's like how can we show the benefits to also people and communities as well, and that just seems right on target with what you're doing.
It needs time and hard work. We are working hard. You know, the special secretary was established in 2022. Before that, there was no there was no any other public from the government, any other secretary dealing with this. So the government decided that we need we need to change things uh, from scratch. That's why we have the new law was the first step. Then we had the special secretariat that was established, and then step by step we have to work hard. It's not easy. We cannot change the things like this. It takes time, and not only a little time. It takes years. We have to be honest. The mentality of the people does not change easily. When we have people that still think that a chained animal it's normal, we need to do a lot of hard work to change this. When there are people who think that it's normal that their pet can have puppies every 6 months at their home, and they can give them to friends and families or sell them in the internet, when we still have this kind of things will be more difficult. So we are trying hard to work and change the situation here in our country. The most important is to manage to implement the law, the animal welfare law, definitely once and for all.
Well, one of the things that caught my attention, Marcia, in the law was that it very specifically addresses exercise, having access to a yard, and really the contact with a human. And the law actually says so that it does not suffer from loneliness and so that its mental health is retained. I mean, again, I can't even emphasize how different the laws are there that you have passed that are enacted, being enforced, that as compared to what they are here. It is perfectly legal, normal to have a dog chained in a yard for its entire life with zero human interaction, period. And even with, puppy mills that exist here, it's
Yeah.
normal. And it's
You know,
even,
the difference here is that the law doesn't think it's normal. Unfortunately, still people think it is to have a dog chains in the yard, and we see this. Unfortunately, we see this in every yard and in every village all over the country. But as I said, we have a new strong legal framework, and we have to work hard on implement exactly what it says.
how feasible is it then, have you seen, with officers, police officers, actually enforcing these rules then? Because I can imagine it'd be difficult. You can't sit on a house for 24 hours and say, well, you didn't take your dog outside for a walk today, so here's your ticket. How feasible is this?
This is why we train the police officers. They are humans too. They live in a country that until now they thought chained dogs it's very normal to be in every yard. They're humans too. They have a mentality too. But through the training, the ongoing training from an academy that is called Zero Stray Academy, that trains the officers on the new exactly on the new animal welfare law and how they have to act. Um, it's something that we think will help us slowly to change the whole situation. Again, it's not easy. As I said before, and I'm sorry to repeat it, the mentality, you can change some things, but the mentality, it's very difficult. But it has to, and we are working on this.
And Marsha, I just have one more question for you. There was a big change to the laws in terms of punitive measures for cruelty and such. Can you kind of explain, have the laws become more harsh? Are the fines higher? Are the prison sentences higher? What changed in regards to punitive measures?
Um, as I said before, the concerning the law and the fines, they are strict. We have to say this, and we are trying in this way to prevent, especially the abuse of the pets, of all animals, to be honest, because this animal welfare law is especially for dogs and cats, but concerning the abuse, it can be applied also to farm animals, to productive animals, and all to all kind of animals. But the fines are strict. As I said before, the change of doing the abandonment of newborn puppies a felony. This is something very serious, and this is something that changes with this new law. I think will help us together with the efforts to inform the citizens of this country of Greece how things have changed and how they have to act and how to be responsible owners. I think all this will help us and bring us closer to our cause.
Well, Marcia, I just want to say thank you for coming on and talking about all this. I mean, it's so fascinating. I think honestly, having reading through the laws there, they're very progressive, very strict, um, and really allow for a lot of growth within the country to improve the lives of animals, educate people, both young and older. I mean, the laws are there. The DNA lab is like fantastic. So we have that now. For assisting with investigative cases. You have the punitive measures behind it. I think you guys are doing like just really amazing things, and so again, I just want to ask: is there anything that I missed? Is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to address before we end?
More or less, I think we explain everything. I hope I could be helpful and give as much as I could all the details concerning the new law, because there are new things that happens in our country, and all these things came from this new law. Uh, I forgot to mention that for the first time, the municipalities have to prepare yearly a full business plan for the management of stray dog and cat population, and this business plan has to be uploaded to the national registry. And their work will be monitored according to some specific KPIs, such as number of neutered strays, vaccinated strays, adopted, things like that. And of course, we want to have licensed setters. So this is something that we are working to, because Greece have a very strong volunteer movement. So in every area there are small shelters that the animals are loved by volunteers and take care, but they are not licensed. So we need also to have licensed shelters, and all these things together will help us step by step, and working hard to make the difference will help us um, to eliminate to reduce, if we not eliminate, but to reduce the number of stray dogs and cats to an acceptable level, and all these that they will be in the street, or the owned animals can have can live with health, take care of their health and their welfare, to be take care for their health and their welfare.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing everything that comes about there with all of the work that you guys are doing. I'm ready to move there, honestly. I'd like to. That sounds like a place I want to
They are
be.
all of these are so promising, but we have a big number of stray dogs and cats, and it's sad when you see them in the streets. And if you are an advocate like I used to be, my life, it's not the last 2 years that 2.5 years that I'm a member of this government, but the 30 years that I am trying to advocate for them. So makes me think that we have to work more and more harder, so all these promising things can be can work.
It's so inspiring. I just thank you, Marcia, for coming on. I appreciate
You're
it so
welcome.
very
Thank you for the
much.
invitation. Thank you so much. It's very important for me. Thank you.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And just want to say thanks to all of our listeners and all of our viewers out there. Hopefully, this gave you a little bit of insight into how animal welfare works outside of the U.S. here and in other countries. So, um, yeah, this wouldn't be possible without you guys for listening to this. And just remember, spay is the way.